to our December 19th meeting of the Planning Commission of the Town of Abingdon, Virginia. I guess we'll start off with the roll call.
Ms. Quetch?
Here.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Weaver?
Here.
Mr. Pennington?
Here.
Mr. Sproles?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
And Mr. Schuman.
All right, thank you. Next order of business is approving the minutes of our regular meeting from November 28th of 2022, and I assume everyone's had a chance to look those over. Any comments or anything? If not, look for a motion.
There's a typo on page 3. It says, about midway down the page, Snyder Sings Incorporated. It's obviously a typo.
Snyder Sings. I like that.
Signs.
Except for that, I move that we accept the minutes as submitted.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. I guess all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I'm an aye too. I forgot to say aye. All right, thank you. And every meeting, we do have a time set aside for public comment for items that are not on the agenda. And I don't know that we have anyone signed up for public comment, so we'll move on. Okay. First item. This is for certificate of appropriateness. This is for Town Center of Abingdon LLC and Stephen Spangler, who requested a subdivision of 396 Town Center Drive, Abingdon, Virginia, parcel 020-12-5. Staff want
So the
to give us an
request
update?
is from Town Center of Abington LLC, owner and Stephen Spangler, applicant, have requested the subdivision of 396 Town Center Drive, Abington. The applicants have said that there will be no visual differences in the parking, access, or easements between the two properties. There will be no additional construction. The primary goal for this request is to divide the existing parcel into two pieces in anticipation of a grant being granted to renovate the old Kmart building into a usable space for the community. So you saw the preliminary plat at your last meeting, and you made some modifications, and the engineer had some ones too. They made those changes to the plat. The only other things we would just like to bring to your attention for the final plat, the applicant acknowledges at the party corner where the old Kmart building and the neighboring structure touch, a fire-rated wall will be installed. Installation of a fire-rated wall was initiated with the subdivision of the old Kmart building from the other structures within the plaza. And the applicant acknowledges the Cook Street extension. Cook Street extended further west will go along the old Kmart building's north elevation, pending grant funds being awarded through the Smart Scale Board. Other than that, that's all we have for you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Spangler, do you want to, any words to say? I noticed y'all have made the changes that I had requested, so thank you.
Yes, Stephen Spangler, work out of One Food City Circle, Abingdon, Virginia. Happy to answer any additional questions that you had. We did incorporate the comments that we got back from you, Mr. Wilson, as well as the staff.
Okay, any questions or anything? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we move on this.
All right, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll
All right.
second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, if you would roll call.
Okay. Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
you. Merry Christmas.
All right, next order of business. Let me get this right. Emily Lindermay. Linderm, okay. A Blended Peddler is applying to, for approval of an entrance corridor certificate of appropriateness for a wall sign located at 252 West Main Street, parcel 012-1-131. Staff report?
Yeah, so Emily Linderm of Blended Peddler has requested approval of an entrance quarter certificate of permanence for a wall sign. It's located on 252 West Main Street. The property is within the Central Business District or B3 zone. Location, the subject property contains approximately .406 acres and is generally located at 252 West Main Street. Background, the proposed wall sign was approved at staff level in July 2022 for 130 Buchanan Street. The sign has been at the previous location since July of 2022. The Blended Peddler is planning to move into a shared space located in 252 West Main Street. A sign for the general store is already located on the primary elevation of the structure facing north. Access to the site will continue to be West Main Street. Adjoining properties on 3 sides are zoned B3, and to the south is the railroad. Beyond the railroad are parcels zoned R3. So some staff findings. The proposed aluminum wall sign is rectangular and measures 18 inches by 46 inches, equaling 5.75 square feet. The allowable square footage for a sign located on this building is 120 square feet. The background of the sign is a bluish purplish color with various types of designs interspersed throughout. The upper lettering, Blended Peddler, is in a rainbow color, and the lower lettering is a pink color. There is a design of an individual on a bicycle in the bottom right corner of the sign. A wall sign for the Abington General Store is already located at this property. The proposed sign will be located beside the Abington General Store circular wall sign, and no illumination was proposed, so staff is assuming the sign will not be illuminated. And as you can see in your packet, there's a picture of the previously approved sign that was at Buchanan Street.
So this is gonna be in the old Parks Belt building? Yeah, okay.
That's all we have for you.
Thank you very much.
Well, since
Anybody got-
she's moving to within walking distance of my office, I approve, I move that we approve the submittal.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When will the
Sure.
move take place?
We're actually moved in today.
Good.
Today was our grand opening.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you all so much. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the request for a special use permit to construct a monument tenant sign structure at the northeast corner of the intersection of Old Berry Drive and Jonesboro Road at the approximate address of 1105 Old Berry Drive. And I guess you want to explain a little bit of this to us.
Yeah, so the request was from Berry Home Center, applicant Snyder Signs representative. They requested approval of a special use permit per section 15-9 of the Town of Abington zoning ordinance to construct a monument tenant sign structure at the northeast corner of the intersection of Old Berry Drive and Jonesboro Road. The special use permit is for a comprehensive sign plan per section 21-22-23 of Article 21 signs. The existing signs within subdivision known as Oakstorm Properties are not currently proposed to change. The only sign that will be added as part of the comprehensive plan is this primary entrance sign, which will have identifiers for all of the existing and future businesses within the subdivision. The location is located at 1105 Old Berry Drive, Abington, and the property is currently in the B2 zone, or General Business District. Location, the monument tenant sign is proposed to be located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Old Berry Drive and Jonesboro Road at the approximate address of 1105 Old Berry Drive. The Berry Home Center is located at 1090 Old Berry Drive, so that's further down the street. Some background, in May 1994, approximately 28 years ago, a plat was approved for the subdivision of a parcel owned by Oakstone Properties into 7 individual parcels. After approval, a variety of businesses took up residence in the newly created subdivision. On the final plat, a permanent sign easement can be seen in the 4th parcel's southwest corner, as we circled in your staff report here. Berry Home Center requests a singular Berry Home Center sign be allowed to be placed on the Oakstone Properties permanent sign easement. The request was brought to the Town of Abington Community Development Director approximately 3 years ago, as the location of the permanent sign Easement is not on the parcel where Berry Home Center is located. It was determined to be off-premise signage, which we do not allow. In the correspondence, there was further discussion regarding ownership of said easement. The issues concerning ownership of the permanent sign easement is due to no language identified on the final plat or any accompanying documentation indicating that this sign easement is owned by Berry Home Center. It also did not lay out the ability for any one parcel in the subdivision to have the right over any other parcel for a singular sign. After the town's legal counsel asked for further clarification from the applicant on why the permanent sign easement belonged to Berry Home Center, no further dialogue was had until this year, when the request was brought up once more for an individual sign for Berry Home Center. So, staff findings: due to the lack of ownership proof and lack of allowance for off-premise signage, the applicant is proposing to construct a tenant sign structure only at the northeast corner of the intersection of Old Berry Drive and Jonesboro Road, at the approximate address of 1105 Old Berry Drive. McDonald's is located at 1105 Old Berry Drive now. Initially, the applicant wanted to place a sign at the previously mentioned location as sign only for Berries. However, the Town of Abington zoning code does not allow off-premise signage. Staff informed the applicant they could have a sign at the proposed location if the sign was a tenant sign for all businesses located on Old Berry Drive. The town's council has provided an in-depth review of the plat, the title, and the ability for the applicants to be allowed to pursue this option for signage. Please see attached legal opinion. The ability for Berry Home Center to be able to utilize that permanent sign easement is not responsibility of the Town of Abington nor the Planning Commission. Therefore, this approval or denial is not evidence of ownership. Planning Commission's responsibility is to determine if the signage existing and proposed make up a comprehensive sign plan that is compatible with the standards and can be approved through a special use permit. The signs that currently exist for each of the other tenants is provided in an attachment for review. The tenant sign structure will be constructed of masonry bricks. In total, the tenant sign structure will accommodate 7 tenant spaces. There currently are 6 businesses there. There is an empty lot at the far end of the street that's still awaiting a business to go in there. The freestanding structure will measure 10 feet by 8 feet. Signage will measure 8 feet by 6 feet, 4.5 inches, equaling 51 square feet. The allowable square footage for a freestanding sign in a B2 zone is 60 square feet, and the allowable height is 15 feet. Unless the property is within 660 feet of I-81, then signage can have a height of 50 feet. And I also, after we sent out the packet, they told us that it was gonna be illuminated using floodlights, so I've also attached, and when I sent you the packet, that's the specs for the lights in there.
So there's some staff conditions if you do choose to approve this tonight. And I don't know if you want to read those into
Yeah.
the record.
For the staff suggests conditions, upon acquiring an agreement to utilize the permanent easement, the applicant shall submit the agreement to the Town of Abington Community Development to add to the special use permit file, and the applicants must maintain tenant space on the proposed entrance sign for each tenant within the Oakstone subdivision.
So question on that first condition.
Oh, I actually have 2 more.
Oh.
The
Oh,
applicants
sorry,
must-
sorry.
The applicants must apply for and obtain a sign permit through the Town of Abington, and we said no lighting was proposed, but obviously we were notified later that there was going to be. What was your question, Mr.
The,
Wilson?
on that suggested condition 1, it says upon acquiring an agreement to utilize the permanent easement. So my reading through here and seeing the attorney's letter and all, like that's sorted with the town, but you're talking about they need to sort it with McDonald's? Okay, because that was my biggest question, is McDonald's gonna lose their mind when they hear about this, but if that condition's in there, then that's taken care of, okay.
That's why we suggested that, because unless all of these tenants had signed on to this application, the town will not take any responsibility for verifying ownership or the allowance of using that
Right.
easement. So you saw the letter from our attorney, there just wasn't any proof. Now, of course, it's 28 years ago. At that time, perhaps they thought that was gonna happen and it all would have went smoothly. But since we don't have any evidence, once they do reach an agreement with McDonald's, we just
Right.
wanna make sure they're not going out there installing a sign and then McDonald's comes to us and says,
Right.
how'd you let this happen? So we're not
Yeah.
claiming that tonight.
It, yeah, and it looks to me, the intent back when they did the subdivision seems pretty clear, but they didn't really label things and take care of what they needed to take care of, so. Okay. Any questions, discussion?
So with all the conditions presented, we're simply saying, hey, if signed off on all the conditions, that's kind of what we're, okay.
And as
And I-
far as you know, they're okay with these conditions, right?
That's where I would like you to bring the applicant up to ask them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In case they have any
Okay.
additional information they'd like to give.
And we have to mark out number 4, right?
Correct.
And mark out
Okay.
for, yes, that's
Do you
right.
have a picture of the lighting?
Let's see. Good evening.
Chris Brewer in Berry Home Center.
Are you okay with all these conditions that we just read?
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand why the conditions exist. I've been in contact with McDonald's and after quite a few phone calls, have the correct person that would be involved in going forward and laying out our plans. I explained to him that we didn't want to take their parking spots, although we could. It's a busy McDonald's. I know they wouldn't want that,
No.
but I don't think we need that space there. We just need the grassy area to construct the sign. So.
I want to show my ignorance here. The sign will be lighted, so somewhere on here there will be a meter base. It's not shown in the graphic.
Yeah, there would have to be on the end of it somewhere. Kind
Here.
of like the one at the Higher Ed Center out there has.
I've never noticed, but I was just going to suggest that the meter base be placed. And I know working with the power company is difficult, but the meter base be placed at the opposite end from Jonesboro Road, so it's not just visible every time you drive up and through there.
You can add that as a condition if you
Condition.
want.
Yeah.
We can add it as a condition. That doesn't mean the power company's going to pay any attention to it.
Well, if it ended up on the wrong side,
Yeah.
we've just painted them brick red before.
Well, let's make that number 4 condition then. And if you paint it to match the brick, then it's,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this is probably a good idea overall, because I can't tell you how many times I drive by there and I forget. Oh yeah, Barry's is back there, or Moon
We
Dog.
probably should have done this 20
Yeah,
some
it's-
years ago, but
It does make sense, because it really reminds
it's
you.
frustrated me for the last 12 years that I've
Yeah.
worked there. There's no
Okay.
signage. Yeah, we hear that a lot.
I guess my other question is, Rick would have to approve the footing?
I would say, yeah, I would think the building official would need to approve that.
That's why we added a condition number 3, that the applicants must apply for and obtain a sign permit through the town of
Yeah.
Abingdon. That just, I know it's sort of redundant because you would think they need to, but oftentimes people come in here and think this is their final approval and that they don't have to go to that next step. So they do have to go to town council with this because it is a special use permit, which will happen at the beginning of February.
Yeah.
And then a sign permit as well. Special use permits aren't usually done for just one sign, but this was the only way that we could wrap our heads around it
Yeah.
not being off premise, so.
I think taking the scope of the whole project kind of makes some sense, like I
Mhm.
said. Probably should have been done a long time ago, but
Well,
we'll blame Tom.
but at least we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Just for my own clarification, if we ask those tenants whether they want to be on the sign and they say no, I know at least one tenant, well, probably just one tenant may or may not be there for too long. How do we leave the United Way and the tenant spaces off there with the intent of being able to add
Correct.
later? Okay.
You don't have to
Yeah.
have the word tenant, but you definitely need to have it
Just a-
available.
Interchangeable.
Just, it's just like a blank.
We need to
Insert.
have blanks in there.
Yeah.
Is my question, or does anything under Or can we just leave this section off? Because that, it raises the price of the sign quite a bit.
I would say from the way the code reads, being that this is a comprehensive sign plan, otherwise, we're really getting away from that whole idea of it being a,
Remote sign.
yeah, just,
Yeah, it said somewhere that each parcel would have to have a potential to be on there, so I would think, to me, you would need a blank. That's how on the developments I've worked on, that's how we've done that.
Okay.
Like, it's not just air there, it's a spot, they can
It's a
slide
blank.
something in,
They, since they're temporary, the black ones, they could be black and so that they wouldn't be as highly visible.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they could be
Red
any,
color or something.
they could be any color, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Are there guidelines on the sizing? Does it have to, I mean, we own one of the parcels and we use it for truck parking, so that's, a number of these will never be used because there's just no, we use the space for other things, but can we change the sizing at all? Or this is,
if you change the sizing, then you'd have to come back here for another special use
This is
permit.
another- okay.
Yeah, this is what
Okay.
the application is requesting, and while
Okay.
you might not have another tenant on your parcel in the United Way building, let's say they move,
and
they
that's
might
what
have
it is
two
now.
more businesses
Yeah.
there, so
Okay.
it really is for all the tenants in the space.
Okay. That's good.
I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
This includes the
Condition.
conditions plus the
Added
meter
one.
base
Meter base.
location. Okay.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Take a roll call.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item, application for certificate of appropriateness for entrance corridor 329 West Main Street. Property owner Andy Broyles.
Is that just the waiver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have like a summary sheet, I just have the application.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, these are just, we just
So-
put the waivers in so you all can
So,
see.
so yeah,
Yeah.
and I had no issues with this, I thought this is long overdue, so it's good.
Yeah, after talking with he submitted an application for the regular COA, and then I looked through it, looked all like general maintenance and
Okay.
nothing that was really major changes.
Well, good deal. Let's see. All right, waiver, okay. Do we have any announcements or other business? Wow.
I
nice.
know, you spent a year and a half working on the code, and now it feels like you've got
like
nothing.
There's
huh?
nothing to do when it
There's
comes
nothing
down
to
to
do.
it.
All right.
We'll
well,
find something else for you.
No, no.
If no one has anything, need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Sure.
All in favor? Raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.